Welcome to the special school board meeting of December the 3rd. We have 6 of 7, so we do have a quorum. 1.02, opening of the regular meeting. Let's stand and say a pledge and a prayer. Prayer first.
Lord God, we ask for your guidance, Lord God. We just pray for your spirit to give us the words that we need, Lord, in the direction we need to go in for this community, Father. Lord, and I pray that you bless this group today, that you will give us understanding, Father, even above our own understanding. Lord, you will give us the correct words and the right things to do, Lord, Father God. We just ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That leads us to 1.03, adoption of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mrs. Morris and seconded by Mr. Goodman to adopt the agenda as presented. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. The motion carries. That leads us to 2.01, 2025-26 school calendar potential change.
Okay, so we are, as you know, we were out on Tuesday, yesterday, for a 2-hour delay due to weather. The potential exists on Friday for snow in the area, even more so than what we received on Tuesday. We want to be proactive and take advantage of opportunities calendar-wise to continue to make up time as we progress through the winter. It's quite early in the season to be missing school potentially, and so we do have 2 half days coming up in our calendar before winter break: December 16th, which is Tuesday, December 16th, and Wednesday, December 17th. And we are proposing that if we should miss school Friday, any type of time, whether it be a 2-hour delay, whether it be a outright miss the entire day, or it be an early dismissal type of situation, we're still monitoring, obviously, the weather. We would propose that we would make Tuesday, December 16th, a full day for students, and that we would capture, some hours back there. We also are looking at January 5th, 2026, as a potential makeup day if we were to miss any more time past Friday. If something happens next week and early into the following week, that we would have your approval to make January 5th, 2026 a student work day if we miss any additional time beyond what we could miss on Friday. Okay, so we're being proactive. In our adopted calendar for this school year, we do not have it designated which days could potentially be used as makeup days or makeup hours. We will have that in place for the new calendar that we are developing for next school year. Those will be clearly outlined for the public and for your approval, but because we're looking at making a potential change to our adopted school calendar, I wanted to come to you tonight and let you know what we're thinking we can do to continue ensuring that we have the integrity of our 990 instructional hours that we must have by the end of the school year.
Question. How many snow days do we have built into the calendar year every year?
So we don't have them built in to the calendar. We have more than enough instructional hours built in. So the Code of Virginia requires schools to be in session 180 days or have at least 990 instructional hours. And so we typically, most school divisions and certainly us, we typically go with the 990-day model because at some point we're going to miss a day or two for weather. So we have several days built in through that model, but as I said, this is early in the year. This is early December, and we're already missing time for weather.
Yeah,
Potential is there for a full day. but, we've already missed 2 hours. While it doesn't seem a lot, if we can be proactive and make up time as we go, as opportunities presented through half-days, making them full days, then I think it helps us with our maintaining the integrity of our instructional hours.
No, I agree. I just always thought that there were so many snow days built in, and I guess I've been wrong all these years.
Well, there's snow hours built in.
Snow hours,
We have
okay.
snow hours built
Typically,
in.
typically, we've looked at when we have spring break. That's
Well,
always been the typical thing.
Yeah,
Because
and-
there's no other days really
Right.
out
Well,
there.
The long and the short of it is, I support the superintendent making any amendments to the schedule that she needs to make in order to get the hours. I'm not
Right.
saying not to.
Right. So we're playing catch-up as we go along,
Right.
so to speak.
Yeah, because January, February, and March, as we all know in Virginia, we can get a lot of weather, or we can get none.
Oh, we can
Right.
have 4 seasons, right?
Right. So once again, just to summarize.
Yeah.
We've missed 2 hours already. The potential is there for more hours on Friday. If we miss time on Friday, for any reason, we would like to make Tuesday, December 16th, a full day for students. We would keep the 17th as a half-day, okay? We've consulted with all of our building administrators and our division leadership team, and we're all in agreement with Tuesday, December 16th being a full day if we miss time on Friday. If we miss any additional time next week or the following week after Friday, then we would be looking at January 5th, 2026 as a student day, as a student, full day for students. Okay?
There's one other thing that we need to correct on here. The graduation, it's still showing May 16th.
Okay?
So we need to correct that to what, the 19th?
It's Wednesday.
Oh, the 20th then.
The 20th, I believe,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, that needs to be corrected.
I tell you what we'll do. We will have an updated school calendar prepared for you for our December 10th meeting.
Okay. So do we need to make any motion on this or not?
We're seeking your
it's just
approval
a-
to make an amendment to the calendar.
Okay.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mr. Christian and second by Mrs. Morris to approve the amended, calendar for the 25-26 calendar year. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous, motion carries. And that's 3.01, the budget work session.
Okay. Ms. Oliver is going to present the majority of our presentation this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. This afternoon, we're going to go over just more of where we are in our current budget. As you know, ADM has been a major factor this year, and it's affected our state funding that we are projecting. So we wanted to just show you where we are and where we could possibly go with our next year's budget, what we've done to offset this loss in state revenue, and what our next steps are for the 26-27 budget. So first off, where we are currently, our average daily membership is what we're funded on, and the adopted budget that the school board adopted in May was 1725. And the actual count in the seats in May was 1728. So we were where we were when we ended the year in our budget. September 30th, we reported to the state on our fall SRC ADM of 1625. October 31st, as you know, Dr. Reesner has been tracking it every day, but we'll just do a couple of screenshots here. So October 31st, we were 1652, and December 3rd, as of today, we're 1668. Looking at what that does to state revenues, this is based on the DOE's calculation tool that the most recent one, which we have, is from June 25. Of course, we'll get a new one this month. And that was with our local composite index of 3379. With the ADM of 1725, our state budget was $20,072,919. With an ADM of 1625, that lowers our state revenues by $943,691. The 1652 ADM lowers it by $676,380, and our today ADM lowers it by $519,903. As I said, we have done some things, as you know, to offset the possible reduction of state revenues, and most of those things are listed here. We have, as the vacancies that we had August of 2025, we had 7 teaching vacancies and 1 support staff position. We froze those positions with a savings of $431,207. We moved locally funded teachers to Title I specialty teaching vacancies in 3 grade levels at CGW. That saved $243,256,000. And there is a proposed change to the hourly rate for paras and car drivers to 50 cents. It was originally $1, what was adopted in the budget, and that saved $55,385. You all will approve that at the meeting next week, if we still moving in that motion. The total reduction was $729,848. So that's what we have currently reduced from our current budget this year. For next year, so an ADM, the board needs to decide on what ADM we want to do with our budget, but Dr. Reesner and I just kind of shot a number out, 1640, just to see what it would look like. With that, our state funding would reduce, now this is, again, calculation tool of this year, $795,436. That would be a reduction. If we maintained our current reduction in expenditures, that would be the savings of $729,848. Our local composite index does change next year, which we have been notified of that already. It goes to 0.3569. That's from the 0.3379. That's what, a 0.19%. So that does increase the local match, and what that will look like, we will not know until we get exact figures from the state. But we do want to look at that. Some of the potential salary scale increases, Dr. Reesner presented some of this to you all already in her salary study, and we also did just a flat-out 5%. This is based on employees as of today. So a 5% salary increase, contracted employees on the current scales would cost $941,341. An increase with the step for contracted employees, current scales, $1,888,516. Then these are the projections that Dr. Reesner presented to you all for the salary study. For the teachers, to get them to the regional average was a cost of $1,245,637. The paraprofessionals, to get them to the regional average, was $86,528. And the bus drivers was $1,901. So those are just some things to think of when we're setting some goals for our salaries. The next steps for our 26-27 budget, again, is to finalize our ADM. We need to look at where we are and see what we want to land on for next year. Again, we can do 1640, or we can adjust from that. There needs to be a discussion with the board, and we need to come up with a finalized number. December 17th, we have gotten notification that the state will release the 27-28 biennial budget calculation tool. This is the governor's version.
Okay, and so with the change in government at the state level, we would not be surprised if the budget that Governor Youngkin proposes looks vastly different than the budget that's actually gets approved. Okay, I would anticipate there being some changes made to his proposed budget that could potentially get passed through. We don't know. Some of that could be more funding for public schools, but it's unknown at this point. We just don't know. And what the local match might be for some of those initiatives, okay? So we need to be mindful that the foundation that we're going to build our budget upon is going to be the Governor Youngkin's budget that he proposes on December 17th. That is where our foundation is going to be. That's where our starting point is going to be in terms of our state revenue and local matches.
Question. So if he proposes it and it passes by some miracle, then that will go ahead and set us for a 26-27 school year?
Well, it'll be a 2-year budget, okay? And so the state revenue portion of that budget for public education would be the foundation that we would use for our state money, per ADM and other categorical funds.
All right.
So it seems like, the elephant in the room is ADM, right? That's the big problem, and it seems like the problem we've had, and this is historic, it didn't start with this board or the one before that or the one before that, is that everything is a projection of something that we haven't really,
we're rolling the dice saying it's somewhere in this area. And so when we build a budget, we end up, you know, some years you get lucky, right? And it's somewhere close. Other years, I mean, you miss it terribly, like we are right now. Do you know how many kids we had that transferred into our schools from the Christian school last year?
I do not know that.
I don't know exact figure, but
It's a real number, right?
We did get maybe 4 or 5 that are going up to the 9th grade.
So
because
only
they-
4 or 5?
Probably
Okay.
so.
Wonder where the rest of them are going. They being homeschooled? I wonder.
No,
be.
they would go, a lot of them went to their home schools. Like,
Oh,
we even get some that are not Buckingham,
right.
but at that time, they paid tuition.
Okay.
And now they
This year, we opened up no tuition,
Okay.
but they opened up a high school, so we got less.
Gotcha. Yeah, because my concern is that once they get the building, we're gonna start to see all of those kids that we've been kind of
Right.
training in the 9th grade, we're gonna lose a lot of
We'll lose
them,
them.
most
Right,
likely.
Yeah.
right.
If the parents can afford to send them there. So I know we're working on 26, 27 budget year, but I think we almost need to also look, you know, ahead and say, well, what does this look like in 4 or 5 years? Because if we're always staying on budget and all of a sudden we're down 40 more kids and we've already cut the budget, you know, to the bone, you know, where's the money coming from? I mean, outside of, you know, local match, which historically, Buckingham has always matched above what they were required. So, I think that's always a concern when we go to the board for that, because they, you know, if you talk to them, they feel like they're already doing more, which, you know,
Yes, and
in
we're grateful
reality,
for
they
that.
are.
Right, and
So
we're
we appreciate it.
absolutely very
Yeah,
grateful for that.
absolutely.
And, you know, we have tried to be good stewards this year. You know, we have
Sure.
completed asset mapping. We shared
Yeah.
that information with you
Yeah.
previously. We have been committed to more transparency and better communication and collaboration with the board of supervisors, and we're going to continue to do that. We are prepared to make some adjustments within our budget, within our
Right.
staffing model.
Sure.
Depending on our needs and depending on this board's budget priorities. And so I do believe that salary enhancements through, you know, salary for our employees should be one of our priorities. But we would want to discuss that with you and for you to tell us what your, you know, priorities are.
Do we know where the 42 kids came from August to December 3rd? Do we know where they came from?
Yes, a lot of those kids, all of the kids came from other schools, like other districts.
Oh, okay,
But they also were kids that left and came back.
okay,
Some are homeschooled, they thought they could homeschool, they came back.
gotcha.
But a
Okay.
majority is just, they moved back.
They moved it, so they actually moved into the area late in the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or they kind of went to a different school, moved to that school, then came back.
Didn't y'all reach out to some of the private schools to take like
We-
an elective?
We have done that. We met with both, I met with Dr. Brickhill,
Yeah.
and Pastor Ben at both the private schools, and offered the opportunity to partner with them,
Okay.
where we have, if they have high schoolers that are interested in taking a CTE or elective course that we presently offer, we welcome them to come. We receive a partial ADM. For one course, we receive a .25 ADM. For 2 courses, we receive a .5 ADM. And so we welcome the opportunity to partner. I don't know if any of the students have taken advantage of this. We've had several inquiries with parents, but it's certainly, we're thinking outside the box, and this is something that we've never done before. But I think it's a nice partnership.
Does it open up all the other resources for those kids? So if they're enrolled and they say they do 2 courses at CTE or whatever, would they be able to have anything to do with the sports then?
No,
So
they
they're
have to
still-
be a full-time student per
Okay.
Virginia High School League.
That's Virginia, okay.
Yes.
That may be something
That
worth
would be icing
talking
on
to them,
the
right?
cake.
Because I know that's still a big issue, because the Tim Tebow bill failed, I don't know, 5 or 6 years
Right,
ago.
and I don't think it's been brought back
It
up.
hasn't. No,
I
and it's
probably
not.
would anticipate it not being brought up this
wait,
year.
oh, no.
So,
I just
right
wanted that
now,
to be a
I
carrot.
believe it's 5 classes they have to be enrolled in order to be eligible to play sports.
Right, yeah, it's just, and if there's a way that we could figure out to make that a carrot, to say, hey, we're gonna offer you not only you know, instructions into things that you don't have the ability to instruct your kid, but also give them access to after-school activities well.
Well, they can do ROTC, but
Well,
that's the
right.
only thing.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with the sports part myself. Just,
Even if they're coming to school here?
no.
So-
Because they're not gonna be held to the same standards as our other kids, because we don't know their English, math, all that is different. And that's what our kids have to do. So I don't feel like that would be advantageous for us. I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure
Maybe
a way that
something we can
Yeah,
change
I mean, I
in
don't
my
really
head,
have a
but.
pony in this race. I'm just trying to figure out a way that we can stop the leak, right?
So,
Yeah.
one of the things that I have worked with our administrators on, and Ms. Dowse, and she has worked with our registrars at the schools, is that if ever we have a parent who currently has this child enrolled, and all of a sudden they've made a decision that they want to homeschool their child, then I would like to have the opportunity to meet with them and to talk with them about the why and what can we do to help you stay. You know, what is it that we can
Yeah.
do to help make your particular situation better for your student? And so we're doing that, and we don't want anyone to leave because they feel like their needs aren't being met through us.
Yeah.
Because you know, that's how I feel.
Would it
But-
help you guys for me to get those numbers from the Christian school? I know they had stayed predominantly the same this year because we got some lower level children back from there too. So we weren't dependent on just the high school.
Right.
When you
But I
say
can-
lower level, you mean younger students?
Yeah,
Younger
like
age, okay,
elementary. Mhm.
okay.
So I can look on into Power School and see how many came this year.
I mean, I just think it'd be an interesting figure to find out, because by far now, it used to be old Prince Edward Academy, which then
Right.
became Fuqua. That was the biggest competitor for us, and now I think it's the Christian school, and,
Right.
Calvary. as
yeah,
well.
I think it's nice to be, if we can maybe forecast it and find out what's causing that, you know, because my biggest fear is that if the voucher program ever does go into effect, we could see a mass exodus, and then what will
Yeah.
we do?
So
Right.
another thought I have, you know, regarding the students that attend the Christian school, I would think that if a parent wanted that decision, you know, wanted to make that decision for their child, I would think that if that was their preference, that they would do so earlier rather than in the middle school years.
Right.
They
Probably
would
so.
make that decision early, and we're not probably going to change their mind on that.
Right.
And I respect that.
Probably not.
I respect that parental choice.
Me too.
However, you know, we want to not lose the students that we have. We want to encourage people to come from out of county, and we've done that through no tuition costs, because the ADM, the amount that we receive per student through ADM is higher than what we could reasonably charge tuition for. And so we're gonna continue to do that, and we're gonna continue to have communication and opportunities and all of that with our parents, so that they feel like we can meet their needs here. And that's my thought on that.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item that needs to be our next steps is the reduction in expenditures. Like we stated, we know we're gonna lower ADM, that's not a question, it's just how much. So we know we're gonna have to maintain a reduction in expenditures of some sort. So we need to make decisions on what those reductions will be, finalized reductions. Dr. Reeser and I have met with departments and building level administrators, all except for two,
Yeah.
yesterday.
We have two departments that we still need to schedule, but we met with all 5 principals and the vast majority of the departments yesterday. And we will provide you an exhaustive list of every budget request that we've been provided, whether it's to sustain something that's already in our budget or new initiatives as well. And so I did want to highlight, just for our purposes today, there are some things that we feel are new initiatives that are important, or things that we need to do or must do per the standards of quality requirements. And so the middle school currently has 1 middle school full-time counselor. We believe we need a second school counselor for the middle school, okay? That would be a new initiative there. We're looking at a band program, adding a band program at the high school. For equipment only would probably be around $10,000 estimate. And so in order to grow a high school band program, we also might want to put some resources in place for the middle school for band supplies. The technology department needs to increase their operational funds based on software development increases from some of the software programs that we operate and we must use to operate the school division. So there's an increase there that we have to absorb. We have 2 reading specialists at the complex that are currently funded through the All-In grant that is going to go away. The funding will not be available for us for next year. And so we don't know what's in the budget yet from the governor, but we need to be able to absorb those 2 reading specialists somehow, some way, through local funding perhaps, possibly. We need to offer a second world language at the high school, something beyond Spanish. You know, we could certainly do that through Virtual Virginia, perhaps being French. That will be determined at a later date, but there is a cost involved with that.
Is that mandatory?
It is.
Jeez, okay.
One of the initiatives for the VSBA was to request more students into the Virtual Virginia so that it wouldn't be a burden on the schools. Whether or not they approve
Yeah.
that, I don't know, but I just thought I'd bring that
So,
up too.
I mean, if we set aside, for example, 10 seats in Virtual Virginia, if we had 10 students who wanted to take French, I'm just being hypothetical, that would cost us, based on current Virtual Virginia seat costs, would be $2,500. It's $250 a student. That's something that we need to be prepared to plan for. I've already mentioned the minimal startup fee for the high school band, and we're not talking a marching band for next year. We're talking about a pep band that we would have at our football game and basketball games. A pep band where we'll start small and build from there, build up as we go. But we do, it's been mentioned several times in the community. It was on my survey from when I first came in, that was the number one, one of the number one initiatives that the community would like to see us add that we currently do not have in place is a high school band program. Okay?
Would they
And
be
then-
willing to fund it?
Pardon me?
Would they be willing to fund it? I mean, as far as boosters or
Well,
some?
the equipment is $10,000. I
Right,
mean,
that's what I'm saying.
we
So-
would have to figure out, how to do that. Both the primary and the elementary school have asked for behavioral mental health support of a qualified mental health professional. That is something that would be on my list as well, of something that we would want to have. I don't know if we can afford 2 next year, but certainly 1 for the complex, I think is needed. Full-time behavioral health, mental health support. Then a couple things, we need another key card entry at the elementary school for the cafeteria on the outside of the building. That's really one of their top priorities at the elementary school. And then interior door and window coverings for the elementary school. Both of those last 2 are safety concerns, maybe could be funded through a safety grant perhaps down the road, but those are 2 things that are on the list that piqued our interest in our meetings. These are new initiatives that really we need to really pay really close attention to. Not that the other things aren't important, but a lot of what we heard was, I want to keep what I have, what we have right now, we want to maintain and maybe enhance a little if we can. But like I said, you're going to receive that exhaustive list at our next meeting, once we have it, once we've met with everyone.
Are we able to bill as a provider for the mental health support?
Through Medicaid?
Yeah, Medicaid or even some commercial insurances.
I don't know, I'd have to find out.
I think that's what we are doing, aren't we?
Well, that's what I thought we used to do,
That's
depending
what we
on
had that
this-
one lady
the
for, right?
diagnosis.
Yeah, we are still billing through Medicaid.
We are still billing? Okay.
But I don't know what's, I know
They're
we.
not
Yeah, I don't know the
payers.
specifics of what
I know we
can get and
build
what
speech
can't.
language services, we build, other things, I don't know, we'd have to do some research on that.
Well, it may just offset some of the cost
It
of
would.
that as we go
It
forward.
would, and we have a third-party vendor that's assisting us this year, and they get a percentage of the profit, the revenue that comes in, they keep a percentage and we get the rest. I don't know what that revenue stream looks like at this point, but we could find out.
A couple years ago, Mr. Jones died, and he left money for the school system for STEM. Now, I don't know whether or not that
I
is
think that may
for,
have went to the high school directly, possibly.
I was just wondering if that would be something we could do for
Or
technology.
if it went to the Buckingham Education Association, that's separate from the school system and not,
Okay.
we don't
All
have any
right,
say.
well, it was just a try.
I'm not sure exactly where that went, but it didn't come directly
Okay,
from
because
the
I was
school system.
thinking that CTE was involved with it in some way or
Correct,
another.
that would be the Education Association.
Okay, all right.
And the homes, you're talking about homes?
Yes.
Or- yeah,
Well,
that-
he was a Jones and his
Yeah.
sister was a Holmes.
Yeah, this one, yeah, it went directly to that.
Okay, all right.
Right.
Trying to find money.
I understand. So the next step would be setting our salary goals. We went over a few things of what, just basics of what we've already talked about before and what 5% will cost. The state in the past has always given us a 3%, 5%. We even had a 1% in the middle of the year one time. So they will send down something that we will try to meet, as well as if you all want to go above that. Insurance renewal. Insurance is a expensive cost for the school system. It's almost 10% of our budget, so it's, whatever happens there is a big expense to employee and employer. So that is a big goal that we need to tackle in the near future.
I did hear today at my my regional superintendent's meeting, that the local, a vendor that many of the other school divisions are currently utilizing are looking at a potential 2-digit increase. Now, I don't know what that would mean, what that would mean for us, because we don't use this particular vendor, but it could be 10%. It could be, we don't know. We have to be prepared for that.
And we can run some preliminary numbers if you all would give me, if you want me to. I can say 10% current employees, and we can get some figures on that before we get hard numbers, if you'd like. So just let me know where you want to
Yeah,
go with that.
probably would be a good idea just to see what it would kind of cost.
A
If it was
10%?
10%,
Okay.
you know, because
That's no problem.
that looks like the going rate every year, if not more.
Then the board needs to let us know of any other goals that you all may have outside of course, what we have mentioned. And our next budget work session is scheduled for the 14th, but we do need to determine a time. So at this time, it's just open for discussion and any questions that you all might have for us.
Well, if I may,
Sure,
Madam Chair.
go ahead.
Of course, I'm all for, we need cuts and we need to be fiscally responsible. I don't know who can answer this question, but how do we find, I guess, kind of the perfect medium between making sure that we don't cut too much to where it's going to go into adversely affecting our instruction? I think that that's one of the main goals that we need to ensure, especially if we're looking at, we're competing with other schools. To me, the primary focus needs to be on ensuring that we're providing a quality education. So how would we be able to determine, to know whether or not, if we're making certain cuts, if that's going to affect the instructions or not?
So we have, I'll give you an example. So for kindergarten through 3rd grade, K3, we are capped at 23 students. Okay, we cannot, no class can be over 23, okay, by standard. So if we were to say, oh, well, we can go up to 23, so we're okay with every class being 22 students, I wouldn't make that recommendation. But at the same time, I wouldn't suggest that we're in a place where we can be comfortable having 14 and 15 students in a class either, if that makes sense. So I would feel more comfortable around the, 19, 20 time frame. 19, 20, 21 would be a good figure for us to kind of gauge. The more students we have, the more resources, the more money, more state revenue we will have coming in, and the more opportunities we will have to be able to provide additional things. We will seek out any grant that's available to us, state and federal. We've been doing that. We're going to continue to seek out any and all grants that we can reasonably take on that don't require a significant local match that we could not meet. So to answer your question, it's not an exact science, but it's a balancing act. And we're going to continue to inform you of that along the way. We are going to be providing to you later this evening a pupil-teacher ratio report and some projections and forecasts for the future there.
So say, for instance, as an example, if I may.
Sure.
I'm reading this and I'm just a regular citizen. I'm I'm looking at this, and it says vacancies, August 2025. And it says here, 7 teaching positions and 1 support position, 1 staff position. So if I'm looking at this, to me, as just an average observer, it would say, man, 7 teaching positions, you don't have as many teachers, you don't have as much support. That could potentially affect the quality of the education that my child is receiving. What is it that we are doing to kind of navigate through this circumstance if we have to cut teaching positions, support positions? What is the process that we go through to ensure that?
Right, so we look at where teachers are endorsed, we look at endorsement areas, and, for example, I'll use economics and personal finance as an example. That is a course that is a graduation requirement, okay? Most students take it when they're either in 10th or 11th grade. There are many different teachers who can teach economics and personal finance. It doesn't have to necessarily be one teacher teaching all of it. There's several endorsement areas. And so we can get creative with what we're able to provide students through endorsement areas, meaning that if we have a teacher who can teach history and also computer science, they can also teach economics and personal finance because they have an endorsement in history and social sciences, which allows them to teach that. So mapping that out through what courses we need to offer our students, what courses we want to offer our students, and then who can teach those courses based on their endorsement areas. And we're going to grow our teachers and diversify them where we need to through praxis testing.
Okay.
And through licensure, okay? And then provide the professional development on the back end to help support them.
Okay.
There might be some instances where we would want to do that. To be able to offer a unique repertoire of courses, looking at who can teach what and building our existing staff to be able to teach more than one thing.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so we have a plan, so when
Yes.
we're cutting, we're not just doing away with a certain thing, but we've got a plan in order to be more efficient.
More
and
efficient through
more productive
licensure,
Through,
through many things.
okay.
Yes. And Ms. Branch and I, in fact, next week rather, we are meeting with teachers on licensure, several different teachers on different, where they are in their licensure journey, okay?
But we don't want to get them too thin either, because,
Right.
it's just like when we're teaching our kids, and it looks like we just skim everything, and we never deep dive into things.
Right.
And that's part of the problem, I think, some days, because kids don't know how to, I know that they teach them how to read, how to tell time, but it's just different from the way it used to be, because you don't see a clock anymore. So it's kind of hard to tell the time if you never see the clock, except for when you're getting that instruction. So it's
Madam
just
Chair,
different things like that.
Right.
I think one thing we need to keep in mind is that you can cut some money in materials if you have good teachers and allow them the creativity to approach teaching the SOLs in ways that may not require some of the more expensive items,
Teaching,
teaching materials. And if I always said, if you could just give me what you want me to teach and let me teach it.
Right, and so, a lot of materials, a lot of instructional materials that deliver content, whether it be software, whether it be consumable workbooks, can be funded and paid for through our textbook fund, which is separate from our operating fund. And so that gives us a flexibility there. In off years, especially when we're not doing a full-blown textbook adoption. And honestly, I don't know if we have to do a textbook adoption next year or not. We haven't had that conversation just yet, but there is money in textbook funds to help support instruction if it's used correctly. It can.
do you foresee any kind of new instruction, newfangled way? Because, it looks like we're doing this one year, then we go to this one, then we go to this one. Have you seen anything coming out that says we're going to go to a different type of instruction or anything?
I'm going to defer to Dr. Ringstaff
Okay, that's good, because that's
I mean, they
costly.
adopted reading and math standards, and new high-quality instructional materials. That's already been done.
Okay,
So those were done at the same time in the same year. Science maybe is coming down the pike, I'm not certain, but we haven't heard, nothing's come through a superintendent weekly memo to give us indication that that's the case.
all right. Well, I mean, because that gets expensive. Of course, they usually kind of provide a little bit of the money for it, but they don't always fund it fully, so I just want to. Go ahead.
And I remember a few months back, we were discussing with regards to when we were sending kids to other locations and the cost that was associated with that. What did we come up with that?
You mean students that are special education students with
Yes.
disabilities? So we are having, conversations with different schools and IEP team meetings. I don't, I know that we have maybe one or two that have come back, and we're in the process of collecting data to help support any decisions that might be made for other students. So the students that are there, that are outside placement, that did not occur overnight, and therefore it really can't be changed overnight either.
Okay.
And so it's a process, and we are going through all the steps needed, and a lot of that is collecting, observable behavioral data, as well as,
And some of that's mandated through Crossroads, right?
yes,
Yeah,
quantitative data as well, too, and having conversations with their private placement, the entities themselves, as well as, having IEP meetings here at the school with parents. So it's a process, and we are working towards that goal. Any students that, can come back to be with us and us to have us educate them, we want to encourage that. But if that is their least restrictive environment, and that's their best placement, then certainly they'll remain there.
So when we move children to another school, say Charlottesville, what's the net on that? I mean, obviously, we get $11,600 per kid, basically. Are we paying an upcharge to them, or do we know?
It depends. I know we lose the ADM, but
Right.
On certain, I think we have 11 students that are funded through CISNA. And that amount you gave, was that 325,000?
Yeah, and it can change. It should be more this year. We don't have
Okay.
the exact amount yet, but I did talk to Ms. Grazier today, and she told me that it all went through, and I thought she gave me a figure of 346
That's gotta be right.
for this one. So, that's more than the last year one, so, it is more than ADM, and that is for those 11 intensive
Okay.
services.
How many students do we have that we're driving to other locations, do we know?
29.
29. And so
Which
we
is-
lose all the
which is
ADM on them, right?
significant.
Yep.
Yeah,
So we
yes,
lose the ADM, and we have
We
to
do.
pay to get them there.
Yeah.
correct.
So
Yeah.
it's an
And that's
additional
one of the things that
negative.
we're looking at.
Okay,
We believe that some of those students could certainly be serviced in Buckingham County Public Schools.
Okay.
And we're going through the process of collecting data, having conversations with the schools, having conversations with parents, holding IEP team meetings to determine the least restrictive environment and if it needs to be a change in placement. So we're going through that legal process of what we're supposed to do, in these situations.
So I guess one of the big things that I would like to see, and I know all of us would, is the steps for our teachers. I see where, you have the 5% salary increase in step, but that's still not changing what we have in our books as far as what we're gonna go to with the steps. So, I know you had presented that to us, but is there a cost anywhere in this
on
little
there.
crystal ball?
So, if all things constant and where we are right now. Now, obviously, everyone is going to increase their salaries. To what degree is unknown at this point. But to look at where we are, our current reality, in order for all of our teacher steps, currently 0 through 38, to be at least average, and that's 5th in the region, it's gonna cost us 1.2, okay, $1,245,637. And so one idea we would like to hear is how much effort or how much work do you want us, how do we want to get to 1.2 in a year? Or do we want to try to get at least halfway there? Do we want to try for 2/3, 3/4? That's what we'd like to hear this evening to help us in building our budget. What effort you'd like to see us make towards that goal?
I don't think we want to go less than a half, myself personally, if we could do it. Because we've been saying this for as long as I've been on this board, so, and David was on it part of that time, so, I mean, if I was a person that worked here, I would really be mad because we haven't done it. You know, we need to try to find a way. Go ahead.
I mean, just my own personal opinion. I think that it's important, but I also think that, it needs to be something that's fair with everyone. I just think it needs to be, for the paraprofessionals, for, everyone that's employed in everything through the school system. I think that there should be a process by which, that we go through to where, everyone gets a salary increase or whatever the method is that we're going to use to do it. Of course, I'm all for that, but what reasonably do you believe that it will take for us to get there? If we say, for instance, we want to get to the 1.2, what does that look? What do we need to do to get there?
We would have to look at vacancies where we have. We want to see how many teachers may be choosing to retire at the end of the school year. We'd have to look at, the ins and outs in terms of personnel movement. I don't feel comfortable answering that question at this moment before we know who might be choosing to leave, okay? For either retirement or resignation or what have you. And so we are sending out intent forms to our employees this week, hopefully tomorrow. If not this week, definitely by Monday. I mean, the forms are ready to go. It'll be on Google. It'll be a Google form that employees will be asked to complete, and we're asking for them to do it before they leave for winter break, if at all possible. That way, we have, if anyone knows that they're thinking about not being with us again next year, we have an early start, and that would help us in figuring out some of these decisions. If we know how many teachers, how many vacancies we might have in different areas. So we normally would do this in January, but we're asking our employees to complete it in December before we leave for winter break, because we are trying to do some significant adjustments to our budget based on ADM calculation, as well as perhaps salary enhancements.
Because just my own personal opinion, and I don't know if we can do this, I just think everyone should be included. I think we should shoot for, we need to include the teachers, we need to include the paraprofessionals, and we need to include the bus drivers, and whoever else. But that's just my own personal opinion. I don't know, I guess we'd have to add up the numbers, and we'd really have to see, because from what I'm hearing you say, if we were to do that, we'd be having a better quality product, because we'd be having teachers that would be more efficient and more qualified. They could teach more subjects, even potentially have paraprofessionals that could be cross-trained. They could do different things, including bus drivers, not only driving a bus, but guess what, driving a vehicle or those type of things, because I know we're looking at that. So
I don't have, a bus driver, a paraprofessional, a bus driver who wanted to become a part-time paraprofessional. We could certainly do that through, you know, and we have several that are doing that, but we could potentially look at some different things there too.
So my question is, Mr. Goodman, is how is it that adjusting the pay scale is going to allow them to have more abilities to teach or perform jobs? I'm not sure that they're congruent with one another.
So we would be looking at what someone's licensed to teach. And if we
Right, on
want
the
them-
teacher side, I
Yeah,
get that.
on the teacher side,
I'm talking about
yes.
the, when.
Absolutely.
We were talking about giving everybody everything, you know, all the same. And I'm not sure that just because we do that, that increases the product that we're trying to get to. So, and
It
it
would make
very
us-
well may, I just
Yeah,
don't know.
it would make us more competitive if we had vacancies and our salaries were
Right.
richer. We might receive, you know, candidates from the outside that
Right.
want to come here, that, there is that factor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that
Potentially.
people are moving here to drive a bus, right? I mean, it would, and we may have more candidates within the Buckingham, but I don't think that they're going to be moving from Prince Edward to get here. But of course, $1,900 isn't a problem with the budget, right?
Yeah, our bus driver salaries,
Are pretty competitive, yeah.
from the regional analysis, yes.
And the other issue is that we could actually give it all, and next year still not be at number 5, right? Because we don't know, that we're basing these numbers are on last year's data.
Yeah.
So we could increase everything and still be at 9. We don't know, right? I mean, we would hope not.
Hope not,
But, you know, we don't know what the other school boards are,
But
you
if,
know,
right,
wrestling with as well.
I would anticipate, you know, school divisions making headway, a couple of
I
especially,
would think so.
potentially, certainly. I've given you, you know, we've provided you with what it's gonna cost with today's dollars in our current reality. And, you know, we've heard some feedback, we've received some feedback, of a minimum of where you would like us to land. We will do the very best we can to take us as far as we can, with regards to all
So,
this.
Just for some clarity, on the one, number 3, where it says the teacher salary scale, the regional average, that's what you had presented to us before, that 1.2, that will include the step, or no? We're just bringing everybody up and the
That we're
step's
just
still
bringing
not
up,
there?
that is what it costs us to get our current steps to average.
Okay.
So, Mr. Christian, then what would be your proposal then? What would you,
My proposal would be that we would go with what's presented with the teacher salary, the paraprofessional, and the bus drivers, and we just say, hey, that's the ceiling, that's the most that we can do, and then we see if we can find the money. I think that's the best way to do it, and that way, you know, rising tides raises all boats, right? And so at that point, I think that everyone does get treated fairly. For those who are below that 50 percentile, and just knowing as we go into it, if we miss the mark, we know that we're gonna be below the 5. But we could hit the mark and still be below the 5. We just need to know that, you know, we're doing the best we can with the information we have. But, you know, if 5 other counties decide, you know, they struck it rich somewhere, I don't know, but, you know, we could still be below the curve.
Well, it's like I said at the last school board meeting, that we're working with a tremendous deficit, because in the Central Virginia region, we're one of the most underdeveloped counties. We are the most underdeveloped, besides Cumberland.
Oh, is that-
Now, you take, you know, Prince Edward, Amherst, Nelson, wherever, Albemarle, there's a lot of development up there that's bringing a lot of money into the school system, one way or the other. Plus, there's a lot more kids. But we're working with 1,600 kids average, you know, an underdeveloped county. And, you know, we're having to do what we gotta do, as distasteful as most of it is to everybody, to keep the school system up and running. So we're working with a tremendous disadvantage, in my opinion, and I'll keep on saying it. You know, the superintendent has done a really good job of bringing forth some proposals. I agree with Joey's assessment that whatever we do as far as salaries, you know, we gotta spread the wealth amongst everybody in the school system, because it takes everybody, not just the teachers, but it takes everybody to have a successful school system for the kids. And if you're leaving out this portion, or you're leaving out that portion because you just want to give this portion a better pay raise or whatever, then you're going to have a lot of dissension amongst the troops.
I think my only rebuttal to that, and I don't disagree with you, I think the only rebuttal that you get to that is that if we can't recruit teachers, you don't need the support staff, right? Because we don't have the teachers. Paraprofessionals, you can only have so many. And so I think you have to recruit those that are actually licensed to do the work, and then take care of the rest of them. But I think that would be the only rebuttal. And I don't disagree with you at all. I agree
Right.
with you.
Yeah.
I just think that when you're looking at, you know, who do we fund, how do we fund it, and I've already told you, I think we ought to fund all three of them. But,
Right.
you know, if we have to raise something, you know, if we have to get somewhere for a paraprofessional, or we have to be able to keep a teacher, if we don't keep the teacher, we're not gonna be able to keep the paraprofessional. And that's my concern.
But with that said, we've lost paraprofessionals.
Well, we
And I
have.
agree
I
with
agree,
you.
yeah.
We've lost a tremendous amount of paraprofessionals in the last couple of years since I've been on the board. And sometimes you got kids that need one-on-one,
Yeah.
or professional work with them. You need more than really, you think you really need sometimes. You need a lot more if we're gonna keep losing them because they feel like they're not getting paid or they feel like they're not getting valued, then we're not really doing it. And everybody's got a good point at the table.
I agree with you.
You know,
I don't disagree
and,
at all with any of you.
The $64,000 question is how do we solve it with what we got to work with, which is very little.
Right.
And that's all I got to say.
Well, if we look at the amounts, look how much for each one of them we're talking about. We see the biggest amount. It's for our teachers. If we can come up with half for our teachers, I mean, you take half of the rest, I mean, that's nothing compared to our teachers.
right.
So, you know, I know we need to focus on all of them. I agree, every one of them needs to be held up high, but, you know, the teachers are our biggest commodity. And if we get good teachers in here, we'll get good product out of our schools. So, you know, at the end of the day, we all hate to say it, it's about the dollar bill right now. It's what's realistic. What can we do? Well, the biggest chunk is the teachers. That's the biggest chunk. So,
Yeah, I think some of it also is that for some reason, people want to look at teachers differently than they do the rest of the workforce. Well, the rest of the workforce, the pay increases since COVID started has been astronomical. And, you know, they've fought with that too in the private sector. So not only are we losing teachers possibly, or other folks to other divisions, we're losing them out of the industry. They're going somewhere else and making more money. And by the way, they don't have to put
And
up
they
with
don't even
26
have to go
kids.
out of,
Right,
they don't have to leave their house.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
agree with that.
yeah,
too.
we have to be competitive, and I think at the end of the day, if we don't have staffing, the buildings don't make any difference. If we don't have staffing, we don't have the kids, the buildings, you know, that becomes, capital projects become the last thing you look at.
Yep.
So,
So what do we want to do? I mean, we've got to give them something. I mean,
you know, is this an actionable item, or you just need direction?
This is just a budget work session, a conversation at this point.
Okay.
To help us with our starting point, once we get that, to add your input today, along with the information that we'll receive hopefully on December 17th in terms of the governor's budget, we'll kind of start piecing it in together. And the intent forms that are going out, they're all pieces of the pie, but all the meetings that we've held for the budget requests and budget priorities, all of that is part of this.
Well, my suggestion is, with all three personnel, teacher, paraprofessional, bus drivers, my suggestion is that the goal would be to get them to number 5 in the middle of the pack, and then we'll work backwards from there if we have to.
Okay, so that is,
That's 3, 4, 5.
that's
There's three groups.
1.3 million, basically, right?
Yeah, about one, that's right.
okay.
Is that what everybody else wants to do?
Sure, sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Sounds good.
We don't know.
We don't know till we try it.
What
Yeah,
we,
yeah, I
what
mean,
we
I don't-
will do is we'll honor your request at 1.3, whatever, and see what we can do there. And then we'll come up with scenarios underneath that we might need to take a look at.
I
Okay?
agree.
Does that sound fair?
Yes,
We'll start at the top, we'll aim for the sky.
Sounds good.
or at least a 5.
And the fact is that if we miss the mark, right? If we do happen to miss the mark, we can't get there, it's not because we decided beforehand that we weren't gonna get there.
Right,
Well,
So,
at least-
you know,
Go give
at
us
least,
that.
at least the staff knows that we're trying,
Yeah.
and I think that's important.
Yeah.
Get
I
it.
agree.
What about ADM? Do we want to set on a ADM today that we could start on, or do you all want to
So
meal over that?
what is the trend? I know it was like minus 100 this year, but like the previous years, how has it been?
15-ish every year.
15, okay, wow. So,
So we did get 3 in today.
That
And
normal
we have-
number you gave me?
I have-
So what's our Friday ADM gonna look like at this
So
point?
it's gonna be 3 more, so that's gonna be, should be 1671 tomorrow.
Yeah, you told me 68.
These Buckingham people gotta
That's
start having more
tomorrow.
children.
Now, we have 3 in the bucket, which when I say in the bucket, I mean they are being sent out in case they do come here. 2 are people that do return leave. I don't think they'll end up coming here, but I think we have 1 more, maybe by the end of the week. So that'll put us at 1672. The trend is that Christmas break, people leave, people come.
right.
What you'll end, it's gonna be what you'll end up with for your March 31, is what doesn't shake out of the bag at Christmas. That's just how it's always been. I've only been doing it 5 years, but that's how it's been.
We could aim for a 1650, that's 10 more students.
Yeah.
We could take it up 10 more.
And it's 1672 right now though, right?
It'll be 1671 tomorrow. If no one left today, which I didn't get, Dr. Reasoner's been very spot on about make sure we know if someone, is transferring, and I don't have any information that they did. So I would hope that tomorrow, barring any accidents like that, we're 1671.
So when we were thinking about this whole process, we were thinking of 1640, because at the time, we were in the we were 1650s, and we've added some kids since then, which has been a great thing. So I feel a little bit more comfortable hitting 1650, 1655, maybe, at this point.
1650.
I say
Don't go too high.
1650, just so
1650, don't go
because,
too high.
Realistically,
I don't know.
out of the 29 students that we have that's going to alternative schools somewhere else, and I understand that it's a long process to try to get some of them back. But realistically, how many students do you think that we can accommodate and bring back? Just throwing it out there.
I don't feel comfortable answering that question, but I will have Ms. Grazier here to answer that question on the 10th.
Okay,
She will be here to address that for you on the 10th.
okay, that's
Okay.
fair, that's fair.
So can you educate me, Dr. Reasoner, or one of the other staff members, doesn't matter, if we bring in those students like at Christmas, do we get the full year ADM, or is it prorated? We get the full year?
Prorated.
It's
Oh, it's prorated, okay.
With the March,
The March, yeah.
the March, yeah.
So September 30 is what I presented. That's our first submission to the state. So they start funding us on that,
Okay,
September 30. And then March 31st is our final, no matter what we get after, whoever comes in the door, doesn't matter after March 31st.
okay.
And that's they prorate. So it's those 2 look-back periods is what the funding's based on.
Oh, so they look back from that time to how far, to this end of the semester, beginning of the semester, or how do they do it?
For the next year, we'll be at they start with the March 31st.
So they're
we
gonna
had
start
the
with March
previous year.
31st, and that's what their forecast is for the next
Correct.
year.
Mhm.
And so, but that can be adjusted when?
What we do is outside of what the state is
Right.
going to start us with. So whatever you all adopt, the state's gonna start off with their number.
Right.
But when we submit September, then they'll adjust it to what we actually end up having.
Okay.
So
So
that's
we'll
why
actually be
we,
funded on whatever we have when we submit.
Correct.
Okay,
it changes once we submit in September,
okay. How often do we have to submit? Every month?
twice a year,
Twi- oh,
September
just
and
twice a
March.
year.
September and March.
So we really only missed out on a month and a half of, or 2 months of funding based on the March one, or we missed the whole year?
No, they'll prorate back.
Oh, they'll prorate back, okay.
So, yeah, and so we, you know, we're counting it on the day.
Yeah.
Literally, we have a whiteboard that we mark it on, but I'm reporting it publicly through nightly news and through your Friday email to the board every Friday.
Yep.
It gets reported out to our staff and to you once a week.
So the end of the March 31st is the final number that you're gonna end up with, the entire revenue for the whole year.
Okay.
Regardless of what you submitted in September, what you submitted in March is your final. So they'll adjust it so that whatever we get with March 31st is what our final state revenues look like.
So that's all we're gonna get for that year is based
Correct.
on what we had in March. So we're
Correct.
still gonna be funded at that 16, whatever it was, 40? something.
Well,
Well, we're not to March
1670,
yet.
well, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
1671
Whatever we end up,
now.
right now, we're 1670, whatever she just
Okay.
said.
1670.
So
don't
if we
know.
go up, whatever we submit in March this
So we
year.
won't get payment for this year's expenses then, right? Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to figure out when when is ADM counted and when do we get the money for it?
Immediately. I mean, as soon as we submit
Okay.
March, they adjust.
Okay. So they cut us a check.
No, it's electronic every month, and they just
So they're still paying us every
prorate.
month? Okay,
Mhm.
they're just prorating.
They pay us
Okay.
every month based
Okay.
on the last submission of ADM.
Gotcha, that's what I.
And then when we submit September, they adjust.
Okay.
And then when we submit March, they adjust, but that's final.
So the way I figured it out, and my numbers may be wrong, it's like $64.65 per student per day,
I've
based on
never
180
put it in.
days? Is that,
It's
I'm
close to
assuming?
10,000 a student
Yeah,
per year.
11.6?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's, so what happens, I know that if we expel kids, they fall off ADM, right? If they're gone for 365, then they fall off. But, so if we put a child out for discipline reasons for 10 days, that doesn't adversely affect us, right? They're still considered enrolled.
But we're using alternative ed a
We
lot.
have
I know
alternative
we are now,
education
yeah.
program in lieu of we use our alternative education in lieu of long-term suspension or.
Right.
365. if-
Or-
yeah,
yes,
if
yes.
We haven't had one.
That's our alternative.
Okay.
You know, to try to keep them in school. And we provide a structured environment. We have mandatory, you know, community service component that we've added in that's been very, very, I think, positive.
Successful,
Sure.
yeah.
Very successful. So next year, we'll be looking at other things to help enhance the program even further.
And where is the alternative ed house now? Is it still in Maysville?
No, it's
Yeah.
this,
It's
the building.
the split level house that the Berrymans used to live in.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's on the,
Yeah.
It used to
it's
be
on
Maysville, didn't
the,
it?
it's on the first floor.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
okay,
We have two sides, we have restrooms, and we have a kitchen complex,
sure,
um,
okay, cool.
there.
So we're 1650, Reese?
Are we comfortable with 1650 right now?
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to go too high.
I wouldn't go too high, but
That's
Need a
higher than
cushion.
that's higher than our initial thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, we will build scenarios based on what you've requested, all in with these salary enhancements to get us to regional average with the 1650 ADM, and then from there, different scenarios below that, okay? And there'll be some things that we'll have to take a look at that we currently have in place, but we'll examine all of it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We will put our creative minds together.
thank you.
You're welcome.
let's hope there's a lot of grants out there and some new things coming
Lord, we need your
on
favor.
board.
Okay.
So you were saying earlier that something about language, we're required to add another language?
Yes, I'm gonna have Dr.
And we're gonna
Ringstaff.
have to pay for that?
Yes, Dr. Ringstaff, would you speak to the second foreign language requirement, please?
Sure. So there is a regulation that we offer two world languages. And of course, we cover the vast majority of students. You know, it's a requirement when you're getting an advanced studies diploma. You take 3 years or
Yeah, that's what we had when I was in high school. We had German, French, and Latin.
It's just such a waste of money.
Yeah,
It's the biggest waste.
yeah, and we gotta pay, but we gotta pay the company.
Such a
right, to
waste
do
of
it.
money, because how many, we're not graduating any students, I don't care how many advances you put on their diploma, they're gonna be fluent in any foreign language when they graduate. I mean,
Well,
if
it's
they
a-
are, they've been immersed into somewhere else to speak it.
So
And-
it's a current graduation requirement for an advanced studies diploma, as Dr. Ring's staff stated. And
What
so-
does the advanced diploma get anybody? Doesn't get them into college.
Well, I know, even when I mean,
Yeah.
even when I was in high school,
Yeah.
I had to have 2 years of
Yeah, I know. I did too.
language to get in.
I had 3 years of Spanish and I couldn't even order a burrito. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, I may have been a bad student, but
Right.
Well, that's because we didn't speak it
that's
the
what
whole
I'm
time
saying.
we were in the
Yeah,
classroom.
that's exactly
That
right.
was- That was
Yeah.
part of it, yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
I had it for 3 years,
100%.
too.
Had to have
No, a
it.
little.
And we don't know, I mean, there's always, change, there could be a potential change in the Board of Education, which then could be potential, there could be a change, there's gonna be a change in the General Assembly, which could pass out new legislation, there's gonna be a change in members on the Board of Education at the state level, which could then change some regulations. It could, we just don't know. Right
Yeah,
now, in order to get an advanced studies diploma, which many of our students who are college-bound desire, okay, that is a requirement. And we have to offer two. And so, it costs us $250 per student to take French on, or whatever foreign language we decide, through Virtual Virginia.
But it still
And we
would be.
may only have a handful, I'm sorry, we may only have a handful, less than 5, that choose to go that route. But we still have to be mindful that that's a cost.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to understand a while ago, is we still gotta pay for this
Yeah.
service, and it's a requirement.
And that's what I was saying about the VSBA bylaws. They're trying to get that reduced because so many schools are having to go this route through virtual learning because we can't find teachers.
Right.
So, trying to reduce that rate, or at least have you be able to add more students per ratio of your enrollment or something, I don't
You
know.
just can't beat that interpersonal
Oh, for
student-
foreign language especially.
contact and all. I mean, you just can't beat it.
It's hard enough with a teacher there, I mean. So we good on all this?
We've got directive.
We've got a direction to go in, and we will give you, various scenarios.
So I guess we need to go into closed session now. If someone will do that, please.
Madam Chair, I recommend going into closed session as allowed under items A1 of Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia for discussion of personnel.
Second.
A motion's been made by Mrs. Morris and second by Mr. Christian to go into closed session as allowed under items A1 of Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia for discussion of personnel. Are there any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. We are in closed session.